Hello, peeps, and hello, peppers, and happy week. Um, okay, this is an experiment because, let's say, sometimes I'm churning and milling my YouTube videos in my head for a really long time because I don't know who sees them and under what circumstances. So I thought my theme today should be my experience with like autism and social media because let's say due to this always being misunderstood even by people who are close to me, I also often have the fear that things I say come out wrong, and like when I include it, I am searching for a validation into my pet peeve sentences with autism. That did not mean that I'm not taking people's problems seriously. I'm just, please, not the person who to tell other people this is a thing versus this is not. And actually, that I would say is my first biggest problem with social media, that I'm taking things very literal. I am feeling like really basically responsible to provide an answer or a solution to basically anyone who writes something. And of course, that's very stressful to me and potentially also very stressful to this other person. Um, let's say I grew up close to someone who always said you can't ask this person this or that because this person will then like make a really big deal out of it. Like of the type, don't tell this person you want to go into town because then this person will like organize a car and they can't drive, or like something of that type. So and I mean, most people I know do that with best intentions, but let's say I grew partly up around people who promised unrealistic things to do other people favors. And so I still have to learn where my realistic boundaries are. And like recently, I am learning to not try to create solutions that people never asked for. Um, so when I first like received counseling and a diagnosis and everything um, about autism and like the many fine consequences of autism, like there's some of the many small parts that you also don't see right from the beginning. Um, there were only very few advocacy groups. I was basically like only aware of one. And actually, that to me, that became a nice ritual. It was like well moderated by people who were actually autism counselors. Um, don't get me wrong. I also appreciate like these self advocacy groups. But like in the end, uh, I have the feeling that someone needs to uh, have the designated role of a moderator who says something of the type, okay, this is not exactly the theme, or um, only one conversation at once, or let's say like the biggest thing that still lingers in my brain that I actually really like was when this group had two separate rooms, and then when the discussion automatically kind of split into two main strings uh, of the type. Uh, some people only talked about politics, some people only talked about computer games, and it was then the moderator said, so now we are at the point, everyone who wants to talk about computer games goes into this room, and everybody who wants to talk about politics goes into that room. I don't actually remember what then happened to people who wanted to talk about neither of those topics, but I have often made the experience that in a smaller group, you can also, at least theoretically, accommodate people better who have their own topics, um, or who can't speak or something. I personally don't feel comfortable in huge groups. So let's say the both blessing and curse of social media is that you can have a bigger group of people in one room. You can reread the postings if you don't understand them, and um, there can be a lot of different opinions from very different backgrounds and very different places, because like these personal meeting groups are of course only attended by people who have the possibility to get there. Um, and like I realize that for some people it's already a journey around the world if you have to go to a neighboring house. To some people it's difficult to take the bus. To some people it's difficult to ride in a car with other people. So I mean there can always be a variety of restrictions that you don't have if you just push buttons on your computer. Um, but I also kind of miss the old times where there were um, where there was a face-to-face dialogue that has let's say that has dwindled a lot during the pandemic. Like I personally have um, issues when there are like 20 different platforms, and all of them want to express themselves somewhat about autism, and then suddenly I'm made responsible, if you will, for 1,000 random strangers. So I am basically practicing to only pick the raisins out of the cake and otherwise like stay away from social media, focus on fewer people who I know, um, and of course it's always it can be very nice to say something. Okay, I experienced this and this. Um, does anyone relate? Is that a thing? Okay, sometimes I also find it a little bit problematic to ask, is that a thing? Because just because it's a thing for me, it doesn't need to be a thing for someone else. Um, and I totally get the notion that some people in some communities want like a second opinion of people who don't know them and don't know their life context, or even want to be able to post anonymously. But then again, I personally am kind of shocked that like people want an extra opinion on such questions. If can you set boundaries for children? Like maybe I'm old-fashioned in this, but let's say if I had constantly like grabbed an animal that already gave warning signs that it didn't want that, um, I think like my parents would have pulled me away from the animal. And or like uh, of course, let's say as a child, it really bothered me when people told me to always say good morning and good evening and good whatever not to people who I didn't really know or who I was supposed to know but didn't recognize. Um, so I think if I had children, I wouldn't educate them to like greet people by force, but I would tell my children definitely like you don't throw things into the neighbor's garden and you don't harass animals and stuff like that. And obviously, let's say from the stuff that I read on social media, such practices are a little bit of a dying art. Like to even tell the children no, and like let's say I have good friends who tell me no when I am doing something that let's say where my friends realize that the consequences of this would damage me in one way or another. So, for instance, I have someone who tells me no to too much time on social media because, okay, I'm this kind of person who needs direct interactions, even though I appreciate having seen like more, let's say, role models, for instance, like people who do YouTube about autism. Um, yes, let's say the internet has made the world of autism wider, I would say, but also more narrow because, like, I am originally this kind of person who speaks my mind, and I have this feeling that I have to mask my autism more on the internet than in real life. One of my favorite experiences was when I made myself like vulnerable in a personal meeting group by saying I'm like my apartment is very cluttered, um, and I don't know how to fix this. This bothers people in my surroundings a lot, and then someone who I didn't even know but seemed like a kind of nice and reasonable person and said that very well in context, said, okay, clean it up with some help and take photos how it looks when it's like clean. um, I can't remember doing that, but I still remember that conversation, and it made a huge difference for me, and it made a huge difference for me to see this person and to like uh, ask the person questions back that I didn't have to, let's say, limit by writing. Um, let's say I sort of write the way I talk, but it just takes much more time. So it will always matter to me to both um, learn from the people on the internet and the people offline. Um, and I still have to really learn to say, okay, this is my bubble, and this is not my monkey, not my circus. Um, I am looking forward to a good communication with you in whatever way functions for you. Bye bye.